kind of funny. When I heard the news about the pandemic, I was in my third period gym class and I was with my friends and we were seeing the news on our phones. Oh, COVID, someone's sick in China. We're like, oh, we laughed it off, put our phones away, and we went back to doing our regular schedule. And then a week later, I'm locked in my room, I can't leave, and I was like, wow, like this is really it, like this is really happening. And I'm here thinking about, because I'm actually African, so I'm over here thinking about, oh, all the stories my parents would tell me when malaria hit, when Ebola hit. I'm really going through that right now. I feel like the clubs really, it made me grateful. And I'm so grateful because we could have had it worse. I know, like, I have family back home in Africa. They didn't have access to vaccines, masks, anything. It was really hard for them. So I was so grateful to be in like a country where I have easy access to all of this. I did lose a lot of friends. My circle became really small, but I feel like that's not like the biggest hardship I faced. I think like my dad, he works overseas and he has a really bad heart. And like one day I woke up, I was still locked up in my room and I get the news, oh, your dad has COVID. And I'm thinking about all of this, like he has COVID, there's no way for me to contact him, it's very limited. Thankfully he's good now, but it was just something like so terrible that I never want to experience again. So it's not something that I want to experience again. I know a lot of people who have type 2 diabetes and they couldn't get into insulin, and just like the whole events of thinking, oh, I need those insulin shots. How am I going to survive for the next couple of weeks? And then it turned into months. Oh, we hate the mask, even though I am pretty grateful for the mask because like I said before, not everyone had access to the masks and everything. But another thing we really did discuss about COVID was like how even though like we're still not in our rooms, we're still not wearing a mask, we're not social distancing, we could still feel the effects of it. Like not everyone's conscious of everything. Also, like I feel like a lot of us matured in a way that we really needed. A lot of us are like thinking before we act, doing the right thing, you know, like leading a good path. So but I'm a really big reader. Like I read a lot. Like if I'm not on the phone, I'm probably like in my room reading. And I think like I was saying before, I was reading Audre Lorde's poems. Like my favorite book is Divergent. I picked up the book and I read it, and I was like, every time like I had nothing to do, like nothing's on the TV, my brothers, they were together, I was just alone by myself, I would pick up the book and I'd read the chapter. Even if I read that chapter like 1,000 times before, I'd read it again and I keep reading it until like I felt better. That was like my coping mechanism. Another thing I did was I did a little bit of yoga. That was very therapeutic. I just like thought of stuff that I'd like I normally liked. I would write sometimes I would color. Even as childish as it sounds, I would pick up a coloring book and I would color. Why has COVID taught me about the quality of life? I think to be more grateful, to be more like self-aware of like my surroundings, everything that's happened. Like don't just take the little things for granted. Like even as dumb as it sounds, losing those friends, it made me realize like life goes on, life moves on. Even if I did lose them, I'll make more. See, don't be sad about this, because even though one bad thing happens, it opens the door for good things to happen. I feel like if you, to a 10-year-old that would be standing right in front of me, if you go through another pandemic, if that's you sitting in this chair talking about it, I feel like realize how grateful you are to have such an opportunity to live through it and have the opportunity to talk about it after it's done, and be self-aware of everything that's going on. Don't rush growing up, like enjoy your time. And also, if something bad happens, don't be sad, because guess what? New good things are coming. Like, you know, stay positive. Just try to stay as positive as much as you can.
Some of the responsibilities that I believe that the younger generation has to have, definitely leadership, because there are younger generations that look up to us in a sense. It could be either fashion taste or music. And I feel like let's say if our generation were to, in a way, go downhill, it can kind of influence the younger generations to follow in our footsteps as well. And vice versa. And yeah. I feel like COVID has definitely influenced the value of teamwork, and I say that because being locked into my house with my family for almost 24 hours of the day, it can get kind of hectic, and we definitely learned to work on our communication skills, and yeah, not being able to really see my friends as much also kind of, it took a toll on me, but we still managed to hang out even though we really weren't supposed to, but we didn't hang out as much because again the pandemic it didn't really allow us to. But yeah, definitely it taught me how to better communicate with my parents and be able to see eye to eye with them since I have to see them, well, since I had to see them every day. The thing with the Black Lives Matter protest, there really was never if we waited to protest, it would have gotten worse. So I feel like even though COVID was in the air, there really wasn't a time that, I don't know if this is going to make sense, but there really wasn't a time where we shouldn't have not protested. If we feel as if something isn't right, we're obviously going to say something about it no matter what's going on in the world. And I feel like with the Black Lives Matter protest, that was definitely something that we needed to say regardless of if COVID or any type of pandemic was in the air, because at the same time, black people, and it's not just black people, but a lot of colored people have been discriminated against. We've been beaten because of our skin color. We've been made fun of, just because of things that we can't change. And I feel like as if now honestly is probably the time where we do protest, because technology is still advancing. TikTok has honestly became a big app that a lot of people use to put their influence on and influence others, and it's definitely taught me a lot. It's definitely opened up my mind about a lot of things. So I feel like now, if anything, this is probably the perfect time for where we do protest and we do get our message across the world, so we can make this a worldwide thing and we could put this in the past.
I could never have envisioned or predicted a pandemic, nor could I have predicted anything on the scale that we've experienced at all.
So what do you remember as your worst day during the pandemic?
I can remember the worst day of the pandemic was when I realized how serious it was when, because I was following it as it was traveling through the world. And I realized how serious it was when they closed down Rome, the city of Rome, and they shut the whole place down. And that's when I knew that, it shook me up then that this was a serious thing. Oh, it was fantastic. The community camaraderie, the community outreach, I believed from my perspective that it brought out the best in people. We witnessed, especially with our organization, we witnessed people coming together from all walks of life. People who had much resources, as far as financial resources or tangible resources, where people just had sweat equity. They'll just come out and they'll just sort of help people, get food, deliver food if they had to go to the supermarket and pick up food for their elderly neighbor, or, babysit their neighbor's kids because they were nurses, or, everyone pulled together and everyone lended a hand. It really brought out the best in people from what I saw here. My closing remarks would be that resilience is is a thing that you have to experience to know that you have. And we came out pretty strong. We came out pretty good and we innovated. So, kind of just understand that about yourself. You just gotta just keep living and you'll get it.